All right, so you're back with us again. And you know how it is these days. You want to get smarter about stuff, but who's got the time to wade through all the noise? That's why we do these deep dives. We go deep, so you can cut to the chase. And today we're tackling something a lot of folks find super useful for, leveling up in life. We're diving into using a journal for personal growth. Something you've probably heard of.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Maybe even thinking about how to do it better.
For sure.
We've been looking at all sorts of perspectives on this, and what we want to do is pull out the really juicy stuff, like how a journal notebook can help you unleash your potential. Track how you're evolving as a person. And we'll get practical, too, like what makes a good notebook good. I mean, something like those Lestallion journals, really helps make all this work.
It is kind of wild how a simple notebook, right, like a bunch of paper can be this powerful tool for interchange. And all this research we've been looking at keeps coming back to reflection, how important it is, and how a journal gives you this dedicated space to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not enough to just say journaling is good for us. We got to understand how it actually helps us grow.
Yeah, right? Like, what's the magic here? So let's break that down. How does writing stuff down lead to personal growth? It's got to be more than just a diary, right?
Oh, dear.
Like just keeping track of what you did. From what we've seen, having a really solid notebook is almost like the key to seriously digging into your goals and how you're doing. Think about it. You've got these vague thoughts, hopes, dreams, whatever, swirling around up there.
Right, yeah.
But when you write them down, it's different. It's not just floating in your brain anymore. It's right there staring back at you. And that can untangle things help you see more clearly what you're actually aiming for. Plus, a journal is like this private space, no judgment, where you can really explore your emotions and figure out your path.
That's spot on. And what all this research highlights is that when you get those thoughts out of your head and onto the page, they become real. You can look at them and work with them. And that's where good journal design comes in. Take those Lestallion journals. They talk about a 120 GSM wood-free ivory paper, which sounds fancy, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's not just about feeling good. That smooth writing makes a difference. It's less work to write so you can focus on thinking. You get deeper into reflection because you're not battling with the paper.
Yeah, it makes you want to keep writing. I get that. And it's not just the pen gliding smoothly. There's something about that soft faux leather cover on a Lestallion. It just feels good to hold. It makes you want to pick it up more often.
Definitely.
And then there are those little details, like the pages are numbered, and there's a table of contents. That's where it gets real for personal growth. It's not random pages anymore. It's organized. You can look back at specific entries, see how your thinking has changed. And with 211 pages, you've got room to really stretch out. Some people even like those dashed lines. Gives them more freedom to sketch or whatever along with their writing. A little less rigid than just lines.
I like that. And the thing is, those little design choices actually solve some big problems for people who want to journal regularly.
Yeah.
Like that thick paper Lestallion uses, 120 GSM they call it. It's bleed resistant.
Right.
So you can use any pen you want, and the ink won't go through to the next page. And the pocket at the back with the elastic band, super useful. Keeps all your notes and prompts together right there in the journal. Even the lines themselves, 7.5 millimeters wide. It's kind of the Goldilocks zone, right? Enough structure to write clearly, but still room to be yourself, especially for someone who likes things organized and easy to use. Those details make a huge difference.
Totally. Because let's face it, what happens when you don't have this kind of outlet? Somewhere to put it all down. All that research says you can easily get overwhelmed. So much going on, so many thoughts.
Okay.
Procrastination sneaks up on you because you don't see a clear path. Doubts start to fester because you have nowhere to really deal with them. And all those brilliant ideas you get, poof, gone, if you don't write them down.
Oh, yeah.
And that can make you feel stuck, like you're not moving towards your goals.
Exactly. If you don't have a place to reflect, to plan to sort it all out, you might want things, but without a way to make them happen. It's just wishing.
Just kind of daydreaming.
Yeah. A journal is like that bridge between thinking and actually doing.
And hearing about how people actually use them really brings this home. Like I had this friend, Sarah, she's in marketing, and she was feeling totally stuck in her career. She'd heard about journaling, but didn't know where to begin. So she got a Lestallion notebook, loved the soft cover. At first, she just listed all the things stressing her out at work. But she said those dash lines actually made it easier to start, less intimidating. And without realizing it, she started to reflect more deeply.
Interesting.
She started writing down small wins alongside her frustrations. And over time, she noticed patterns, things that gave her energy and things that totally drained her.
Hmm.
This helped her figure out new career goals and actually make a plan to go for them.
Wow.
It wasn't just venting anymore. She was seeing her own story on those pages.
Right.
Gave her a whole new sense of purpose and direction.
Sarah's story really shows how journaling can start as one thing and then become something way more powerful. It's about creating a story of your own growth.
Right.
It reminds me of this time I was going through something rough. I felt so lost. And a colleague suggested journaling.
Really?
Yeah, I started using a notebook with numbered pages.
Hmm.
And that was a game changer. I could go back and see how I was feeling on different days, figure out what was triggering me, and track how I was coping. Those numbers made it like a map of my emotional journey. It helped me see I was making progress, even when it felt like I wasn't.
That ability to look back is so helpful. Makes me think of my cousin Alex. They're a software developer, amazing at their job,
Mm-hmm.
but they really struggle with imposter syndrome, even though they get great feedback all the time.
I hear that.
So they started using a Lestallion journal, the one with numbered pages, and they decided to write down every time they finish a project successfully, every bit of positive feedback.
Yeah.
They even made a little index at the beginning.
Oh, that's clever.
Whenever that self-doubt crept in, Alex would go back and literally see all the proof of their skills right there in their own handwriting. It wasn't just remembering. It was right there, organized, easy to find. Just that simple thing, numbering the pages and being able to find things, made a huge difference for their confidence.
Love that. These stories really highlight how those features in a journal can be so specific and so powerful for different parts of personal growth. It's not just about deciding to journal. It's about having the right tools to do it well.
So let's dig deeper into how journaling actually boosts self-reflection. Everything we've looked at says it's a core part of personal growth. It's about creating space to step back from the everyday chaos, to really look at your experiences, good and bad, and understand your own patterns, how you make decisions, the habits you have. And even something like the paper in a Lestallion journal makes a difference here. That smooth surface helps you think deeper, cause there are no distractions.
Exactly. When you journal regularly, you get better at being mindful. Being present with your thoughts and feelings without judging them right away. And putting your inner world down on paper makes you more self-aware. You start to see those subconscious things you do. And over time, you build up this emotional resilience. When you process tough stuff in a safe, private place, you get better at handling challenges in the future. You understand them more, and you don't just react.
Okay, so how do we make this a real habit? What tips did our sources have for getting the most out of journaling? Making time for it seems to be a big one.
Yeah, that came up a lot.
It's got to be a non-negotiable part of your routine, even if it's just a few minutes each day.
Consistency is key for sure. And those guided prompts can be super helpful, especially when you're starting out.
Right.
Or you just don't know what to write. Remember that pocket in the Lestallion? Perfect spot to keep a few go-to prompts handy.
Oh yeah, great tip. Tracking your progress is another important thing, and that's where those numbered pages come in clutch. You can flip back, see how far you've come with a goal or a challenge.
Right.
Notice those patterns in your thinking. The sources also say to be honest in your writing. It's your private space. No filter needed. And they suggest trying out different styles, like free writing bullet points, even sketches or mind maps. And with good quality paper, like in the Lestallion, you're free to use whatever you want. Pens, pencils, whatever.
And don't forget, there's no right or wrong way to journal. The best way is what works for you, what you can stick with.
It's your journal.
Yep.
So let's recap some of those benefits we talked about. Writing things down helps you get clearer and focused. It's a great stress reliever, gives you a healthy, private way to deal with your emotions.
For sure.
And it definitely makes you more self-aware. You understand your values, your motivations, what you really want. It helps you reach your goals because you can lay them out and track how you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it can even be a creative outlet, for brainstorming new ideas, even sketching stuff out.
It's amazing what can happen when you just start writing.
Okay, but let's be real. Building a journaling habit isn't always easy. Those sources mentioned a few common roadblocks. Finding time is a biggie, as is that blank page staring back at you.
Oh, yeah.
And that fear of being really honest with yourself.
Those are all legit challenges, but there are ways to deal with them. Starting small, even just a few minutes a day, can make it feel less overwhelming.
Right.
Use those prompts to get the words flowing. And as for the vulnerability, remind yourself it's just you and the page. No judgment allowed. And sometimes even choosing a journal that feels good to you can make a difference. Like a Lestallion with that soft cover and sturdy binding. It can make you want to pick it up and write.
It's about making that association positive. Right.
That
So to put all this into action, what are some specific exercises people can try, especially using a Lestallion with all its features?
There are tons of great ones. A gratitude journal is a classic. You write down things you're grateful for. Really powerful for shifting your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Vision mapping is another go, and you create a visual representation of your goals.
Oh, cool.
And that smooth paper and the Lestallion would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
Writing affirmations, positive statements about yourself and your future can really boost your confidence. Mind mapping is great for exploring ideas in a more free-flowing way.
Yeah, I love mind maps.
And even just asking yourself reflective questions,
Mhm.
like what did I learn today? What challenges did I overcome? That can spark some serious insights.
Uh,
And a Lestallion with all those pages and that quality paper gives you plenty of space to do all that.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the big takeaways for you listening?
What we've seen is that a journal, especially one designed for writing and reflection, like those Lestallions with their high-quality paper-numbered pages, a handy pocket,
Mm-hmm.
can be a game changer for your personal growth.
It's about having that space to figure things out,
Yeah.
stay focused on what matters, and actually see your progress without getting overwhelmed by the whole picture. It breaks down the journey into bite-sized pieces.
Exactly. So here's a final thought. What small step can you take today to start capturing your thoughts and actively encouraging your own growth? Maybe it's time to check out a good journal and imagine how it could help you on your journey.
Something to think about.
Yeah, definitely.